Welcome to Car Scene with Dean, second episode of this year. I got a special show today. I have two guests with me, Logan and Tanner Kucharek.
Yes.
Thanks for guys coming out.
Hey, no problem. We're really glad to be here.
Yes, and I think most people probably heard of you guys if you've seen that Autorama and that. You guys have a 1932 coupe that your uncle, and you guys inherited it from your uncle.
Yes, so the 32 coupe, 3-window,
Yeah,
shop class coupe.
that's right.
That's it. Yeah, all Henry steel,
Mm-hmm.
chopped and Z
channel.
frame. Yeah, 7-inch channel, 3 3/4, 4-inch chop.
Wow.
Flathead V8. It's about as badass and cool as it gets.
Yeah.
You know? So the car came from our great uncle, so he bought it as his shop class project. in
What's
high
your uncle's
school.
name?
Jon Gringer.
Oh, he was a veteran too.
Yes.
Jon
Yep.
Gringer.
Thank him for his service.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
You know, he was in he was in the Army,
Mhm.
and he was a machinist,
Right.
and anything that couldn't be fixed by the regular mechanics, that was his job. So he was there in '67.
Oh, okay.
So when he was there, I talked to some people, like friends that he worked with, when he came back from Vietnam,
Yeah.
and people referred to him as the metal guy, the
Really?
metal wizard.
Mhm.
So I've heard stories he used to make pizza ovens for different camps.
Really?
So his job was to work on the Huey Iroquois helicopters,
Okay.
and so in addition to that, he was also making pizzas for people.
Yep. He had a band over
Yeah, he
there.
had a
They would
band.
travel from base to base and
Wow.
get shot up in their
Yeah.
little uniforms. that they
Yeah.
had.
Yeah.
Yeah, very,
Wow.
very 60s.
Yeah.
But so he bought this car though as his shop class project in December of 1956,
Wow.
and I got a letter that his dad would be, so my great grandfather sent to the Secretary of State saying, my son has a vehicle, it has no numbers on it, and we don't know what to do with it, but I would like for him to get it registered because it will keep him out of trouble.
Yeah.
And so, thus starting the story of the car. And so he worked on it with his friends all through high school and got it running and driving. I don't think it maybe ever went more than a couple miles from the house,
Right.
but it was a Farmington, Michigan local car, pretty much its whole life.
Yeah.
And as the years kind of progressed, so did the style of the car, much as every 32 did throughout the past,
Right.
60 years. And towards the end, it was this 80s street rod,
Mhm.
and it definitely was not
Not the look we wanted.
not the look that we wanted in particularly,
Yeah,
but he had an unfortunate deal with it where he did all of his paint all the way. He was as Terrence said, he was the metal guy. He was a Renaissance man.
Yeah.
He did absolutely everything. He did his own upholstery, did his own engine work, did his own body work. The paint fell off
Oh, jeez.
just overnight.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
not a
It was
good
less
deal.
than a week or after he had painted it that
Mhm.
the paint was coming off in like 3x3
Really?
giant chips.
Yeah.
And not to mention when he had done that body work too, we had discovered he had used a lot of Bondo.
Not just a little bit. I mean,
Yeah.
it must have been, the body lines were gone on it. I mean,
Yeah,
it was
we
like
discovered
3/4 of an inch thick in some places.
Wow.
Yeah.
Doors didn't shut anymore. I think he body worked the doors off the car.
Yeah.
And so when he went to go put them on, we were like, they didn't shut. So
Right.
that's why we have all these pictures of this car with no doors on it. So we could never figure it out. But
To give you an idea of the Renaissance man though, so he was, part of the hot rod culture is being able to use the things around you
Yeah.
to add in. So if you look at the tunnel over the transmission, the cover for that's a half a section of chimney.
Wow.
That's chimney tube. If you go around to the front of the firewall, he had just cut a shape out of aluminum, and then the back piece of it is actually a brownie baking pan with the handle still on it.
That's
So
crazy.
if you look closely, you can see
Yeah.
like, there's the handle on
I'll
it.
have to
still.
look next time. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really neat.
wow. But he was disgusted with it and ripped it all apart.
Mhm.
And he was really struggling from his time in Vietnam.
Right.
And really extreme alcoholism, and just he couldn't handle working on it anymore.
Right.
So it got shoved in the back of his garage and buried for 40 years. And when me and my little brother would go visit him when we were little, we knew that there was a car in the back corner. We never really knew
Yeah.
the significance of what it was or anything like that. And when you're 10 years old, you don't really see the scope of like, oh, this can be a really
Yeah,
great car,
yeah.
because right now it's just a rusted hunk of shit in the back corner, you know.
Right, right.
At least for Logan, he was a little bit older when we started poking around the car.
Yeah.
To me, it was just a shitty old orange car.
Really?
Yeah.
Like I didn't know what that was. I was probably 6 or 7 when we
But
started.
back then, were you guys in the car? You know,
Well,
the Hot Wheels.
you know,
scene
well, I
and
was
all
just
that?
gonna say, because in the corner, on the other side of the garage, he had a 1988 Toyota Supra.
Oh,
And
nice.
so that's what happens.
yeah, we
Then I
got
was
the
like,
Supra.
whoa, look
Yeah.
at the Supra over there, you know. We never even bothered to go turn around
Yeah.
and like look at the 32. And,
Right, right.
you know, as you know, our taste kind of developed with that when he was still around. We kind of started poking him like, hey, John, you know, what's this thing need? What's it run? Oh, it runs, needs brakes.
Runs good though. He would say.
Yeah.
Runs good.
And, you know, he wasn't one to talk much about it. And I think he really kind of battled with that in his head for a long time.
Right.
And so he passed away in 2015, and it went to me and my little brother. And so it was in October the 15th, 2015, and I remember it was a super rainy day,
Yeah.
and we were literally had to excavate it out of the garage.
Wow.
And we couldn't even find all the parts for it. The doors were in a little shed down by the swamp, and then there was stuff jammed in
Up
toolboxes.
in the loft too. So it was
Jeez,
just
spread out.
everywhere. And what was even more interesting to us is, so 20 years prior when he decided that he wanted to start taking the paint off,
Yeah.
he took a floor sander to it and he started grinding and he threw it on top of the car.
Oh.
The floor sander was still there in the same spot he left it 20 years prior.
Oh my God.
It was, he just left it, forgot about it, he didn't want anything to do with it after that.
Wow.
And for us to come in and see that, that was really difficult for us to deal with because we were realizing by the time that we had inherited the car
Yeah.
that this is a really unique car that most people don't get to work on or
Right.
talk about.
Now, when you guys ended up getting the car, when they said it's your car, when you went over to get it, did you guys say to yourselves like, "What are we gonna do with this?"
Pretty much.
Yeah,
I
we
mean,
had no
yeah.
idea.
yeah, you know, so we never really had classic cars or anything growing up. You know, some people always have that kind of thing.
Right.
We had some tractors. You know, we had a 1948 International Cub. You know, that really does
Nice.
the job. But you know, I got into at that point. I was 17, 18 years old, and it was me working on cars was a necessity. You know,
Right.
mostly for my wallet. You know, we had shitty broken down Volkswagens,
Mhm.
so you know you got to learn real quick what you got to do to fix them. And
Yeah,
so
right,
you
right.
know, over time you go from just doing brakes and shocks and struts, and now I did a full engine rebuild on my Subaru.
Right.
Things like that. So it had really progressed to that point. But the flathead is so foreign to us at this point.
Oh, yeah, right.
There's a lot of. I mean, even carburetors. I mean, come on, I just plug in an injector.
Yeah.
And it's great. All set up, and then you just plug in your laptop and do what you need to do.
Right,
But
right.
figuring that all out, back solving was something we really didn't have a ton of experience with. And when you go to the definition of like hot rod versus rat rod,
Yeah.
we really took it to like the rat rod perspective, and it was kind of sad. We just didn't know what direction to go with it, and that's where I think a rat rod and a hot rod come
Yeah.
around. Hot rod has purpose. A rat rod is whatever you throw at
I
it.
saw something on Instagram today. It was the difference between a rat rod and a hot rod. Is a hot rod has a toolbox in the back, and a rat rod has lawn furniture or lawn art.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
But, we really tried to figure it out on our own, but there was a lot of stuff that just couldn't, it wasn't in our capacity and in our wheelhouse to do, and we lacked a vision with it. I mean, we tried. We spent a lot of time getting it running, kind of.
We did get it running.
We did get it
You
running.
guys did that on your own, getting it running.
Yeah, I remember.
I had the neighbor guy help us because
Yeah.
he was he's a big car guy too.
Mhm.
Had a little bit of insight on how to work with the flathead, but not much.
Right.
He's restoring an old '61 Jaguar E-Type.
Oh, right.
And
right.
so, yeah, he'd come over and we would do. I think we just basically messed around with the spark plugs and
Yeah, we did
threw
change
some,
the plugs, threw a
some starter fluid in it and hope it turned over.
Yeah, we knew that it was free. We knew that it was good. There was nothing hung up in the engine,
Right.
and put a new coil on it, fresh plugs, and
We were still
know,
6 volt too.
yeah, we're
Yeah.
still 6 volt, and so
Yeah, that's the worst.
oh, let alone on the 6. So
Yeah.
like the electrical system in it was, I swear when my uncle built this, he went to the junkyard and he took a late 60s GM steering column.
Yeah.
Cut it down to size to fit in this. But then the electrical was, as he went, okay, here's a whole bunch of wires under the dash. Let me cut them all right here at the firewall. And then he ripped it apart, and then he went to the other side of the firewall and cut them all again, and then tried to put them all back together. So you'd be like following one of your wires, and it would be like, oh, this is 16 gauge yellow wire, and then all of a sudden it goes up to 20 gauge, and it'd be purple, and then back on the other side it would be white with a purple stripe. I'm like, yeah, I have no idea. So we had to just cut this thing. I mean, there was no rear brakes on it either. It had these dirt track tires, and the master cylinder for the brakes was way too small for what it was.
Right.
And, I mean, we lived out in BFE kind of country, Bumpkinville, and dirt road, and so we would drive it the quarter mile to the stop sign and back at the end of the road. And we spent more time hauling it back from the corner than we did actually
I don't think
driving
we
it.
ever got it back. Like, I don't ever. By the time we had restored the car fully, obviously we were coming back. But I think in all the times that we drove the car back, I don't think it ever made it into the driveway by itself or under its own power. I wanted to go back to your question real quick about how did we get into it? Were we into cars by the time that we had gotten the hot rod? So Logan was taking auto shop classes. He was in high school. I was still in middle school, so I wasn't super interested in the car scene.
Right.
By the time the car showed up in the garage, that was where we were all starting to spend more and more time in the garage.
Right. Thank you.
And another thing is YouTube.
Yeah.
So as Logan said, we're trying to save money, just doing the work ourselves. It's an accumulation of knowledge working on it. I did the transmission on my car last summer. He did his engine, and you can apply that information to future projects. So when it came to this hot rod, we
couldn't go to YouTube. There wasn't a ton of stuff on YouTube or anything like that. I mean, YouTube Mechanic is like saves the day on pretty much anything. Any modern car, whatever you want to do. Like, oh, I just need to take the battery out, but you can't find the damn bolt. Like they'll show you, oh, here it is. Right here for that clamp that's tucked way underneath this. But there wasn't as much for flathead Fords that wasn't shot on a cell phone camera. That's real. And then it was. You go on the forums to, Jalopy Journal, and there's everybody says something different. Everybody's got their own experience, and I think the flathead is a bit of black magic, so there isn't a lot of people around who know about that. But, lo and behold, you go to the Google and you type in flathead repair Detroit, and there's about 2 people, and one of them doesn't really take many people anymore. So we got hooked in with Bill Jaganow over at Brothers Custom.
Okay.
So he was the one who really helped us, form a vision for the car and turn it into what it is now. I mean, when we pulled up to his shop for the first time, it was like, this is the place. It needs to go.
I mean, they had cars on all ends of the garage. These 30, 31, 32 Fords. They had newer cars, tasteful modifications that they were making, but they were also keeping these traditional visions. The thing with Brothers Custom is they wanted to round out our story. They were more interested in the story than the car, in the sense that we're young and we're working on it. We're the next generation of people. So when we brought the car to them, they were thrilled. They wanted us to work on it with them. So when we were rebuilding the engine, I will also add, when we brought it to the shop, we were just going to get it running and driving again, maybe some new wheels and tires. Obviously, by the end of it, turned into a bit more. The engine was out, the body of the car was off of the frame, and we had a carriage, but they let us do a lot of the assembly on the engine, all of the inside paintwork. That was, they showed us how it worked. They were more interested in showing us how these things work than it was getting money from us. And that, on our end, that was a really special thing, to have these people bring us into their culture, to share these experiences, introduce us to new people. Very thankful for those guys.
Yeah, Bill and Autumn, they're great people.
Yeah,
very
absolutely.
nice.
And I mean, it's such a wealth of information. I mean, that's a lifelong experience for him to put that in there. And so, as I said, we started with something really small, and I remember It was January 7th before Autorama. It was 3 months away, and we had a bare frame on the floor. Granted, the engine was already done at that point,
Yeah.
but it was, nothing was ready at that
Yeah.
point. So we used to, I'd go to work, 5:30, 6 o'clock,
Mhm.
get off at 3:30, go home, get cleaned up, and then I'd be at the shop with those guys until 11 o'clock midnight,
Wow.
just like scraping it out. And then we go hit the bar.
Yeah, right, right. That made up for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a wild time putting it together.
We met a lot of cool people through those.
Oh, I bet.
Being
Yeah.
at the shop, and then so I work at General Motors, or I'm an intern at General Motors now.
Yes.
So I do industrial design, and kind of by the time I was in college is when I brought the car to the shop. At the same time of us doing the restoration, they were introducing me to people like Craig Metros,
Yeah. Yeah, nice
Jeff
guy.
Gale, some of these big guys in
Yeah.
car companies. At the time, I wasn't sure if I wanted to go into this field, but the more I was surrounded myself with it and talked to these people, this is
Yeah. Yeah.
I can leverage this.
Wow.
And so I'm actually a design fabrication tech now, and they're all about me using my hands. I get to work with my hands every day, and
That's
I credit
great.
a lot of that to this hot rod and the whole story behind it. I'd like to be humble about it. In a job interview, it's like this isn't my only quality, but
Yeah.
this is a really cool thing
Yeah.
to talk about. So
Wow. I got a question, start to finish. When you guys got the car, how long did it take?
So we got the car in 2015. We putzed around with it for a couple of years. I mean, we were talking about
Yeah.
dragging it around the yard with 4-wheelers to bump
Yeah.
start it. It was really, it was barbaric. It had these Holly carbs that didn't.
Holly 94s.
Yeah, they were just
yeah.
just dumping fuel into it. But we messed with it for about 4 or 5 years and didn't make a ton of headway. And it was finally time. So most of the work happened in the past 2 years.
Okay.
I'd say like a year and a half.
Yeah.
So when Autorama was on the horizon, we knew it was going to go there. It was crunch time, and it got done a lot faster.
Wow.
Yep.
And now we have Christmas list usually consists of hot rod parts.
Yeah, right. right.
So 1 year it was air scoops. 1 year it was a new steering box.
Yeah.
That was my favorite. Was the new
Yeah.
steering box.
Yeah, Vega steering box.
Oh, geez. Santa was good to you.
That's right.
Jeez.
Yeah, we definitely, so we finished the engine in the summer, and then the rest of the car followed through the winter. It was just a solid year. We got
Right.
shoehorned in, real lucky, at Jaganel shop.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, he's always busy.
oh, he's
Yeah.
always busy. I mean, the years of work in there.
Yeah.
I saw something like he had on his Instagram 29 engines in progress right
Oh,
now at his
shit.
shop, like flatheads too, which is
Yeah. Yeah.
really cool that he's keeping the flathead culture going.
Yeah.
So I've always asked myself, like, what really happens with the flathead scene once these people go?
I know, right?
'cause, I mean, he has his kid.
Yeah.
I don't know what his kid's gonna do, but it's not even about that. It's nobody drives the flatheads anymore,
No.
except for a very select
Right.
few and far between is what you say.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, but I had a 23. We were talking about this T-buckets upstairs, but I had a 23. It wasn't the one like this.
Mhm.
It was a Speedway kit.
Okay.
The body was fiberglass, of course, and it was stretched out more so you could sit back and you'd be driving like this. It had the 8VA in it,
Okay.
and I never finished the car, but it was fun working out with my kids.
Yeah,
They enjoyed
absolutely.
it,
Yeah, and that's the one thing about the 32 is
Uh-huh.
compared to especially to Model A or T-Bucket or anything,
Mhm.
it's a roomy car.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, anything on the road right now, the smallest cars on the market are still bigger than this thing.
Right.
But we have a sliding seat that tilts and everything, minivan seat.
Mazda
Oh.
minivan.
Nice.
Pretty cool.
So that's why you had that blanket over that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You know what? It is so comfortable though.
Yeah, I bet.
I would rather have that than bucket seats, honestly.
Or bomber seats,
Yeah,
steel
bomber
Yeah,
seats.
yeah.
with a cushion.
Yeah, the only thing is with the slider, it sits a little bit higher, so when you get up to a stoplight, you're like,
Oh,
turning
yeah.
way over
You
to
gotta
look
have
out the
a
window.
co-pilot with you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But really, it's super comfortable. The plan is to reupholster it in the next couple of
Yeah.
years and do something, kind of stockish leather.
Yeah, yeah.
Looking, saddle leather. But
Mhm.
So my dad has made kick panels on the sides,
Yeah.
and we're going to do something on the back. My plan is to do some riveted leather into the side panels just so we have little pockets.
Yeah,
We want to
yeah.
make door skins, and maybe a cover for the gas tank too,
Nice.
to separate the gas tank from the actual cab.
Right.
Well, yeah, we have one little we have a black aluminum firewall
Mhm.
in between, but
Right.
we want to do something that's a little bit
Yeah.
more dressy.
I got a question. Was your dad involved in this build?
Absolutely.
A lot, yeah?
Yeah,
Awesome.
absolutely. Yeah, he grew up as a machinist,
Right.
and he's passed it all off to us.
Right.
What to do, how to work, and not be a slave to someone else's
Mhm.
hand.
Right.
So we got to thank him a lot for
Right.
giving us the hand skills we need to work on it.
Yeah,
but-
Yeah, in addition to the hot rod parts, is our favorite thing about Christmas is we usually get something new for our toolboxes or new toolboxes.
Nice.
Tools that we need, like the essentials, the stuff that we want to have in our garage 20
Yeah.
years from now. Like,
No video games or anything?
Oh, Tanner got the video games.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, but I mean like big
Yeah.
blue handle channel locks.
Yeah.
Those are the most important channel
Hell
locks
yeah.
you could have
Yeah.
for all your oil changes.
Mhm.
Now we can do that at home. Don't have to pay someone to do it. So
Yeah.
we're really thankful to have him around and
Hell
help
yeah.
us with that.
Yeah, he made a joke when he announced we got the Kucharek boys on. He's like, oh, I was the financial backing.
Yeah.
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 We were all hurting after that.
We all that was the thing too. And
Yeah.
with the cranking the car out in a year and a half, while it was a lot more than we ever pictured doing to the car, just getting it done. But it was also like, it was a lot more than we wanted to spend
Yeah.
right away. But that's the name of the game. And really, if we didn't do it now or like right then, it wasn't going to get done in any time frame.
Right,
But
right.
now that we've been driving it, we just about hit 1,200 miles on the car.
In the last year.
Yeah,
Driving a lot.
and we didn't really drive too much last summer. We got kind of late to the game, busted the drive shaft out of it twice, and
Yeah.
figured it all out. But we all look at it and go, damn, that was the right thing
It was
to do.
Right.
Yeah. It was the right thing to do. It's a real head turner.
Mhm. Oh yeah.
It's just it rips. It sounds good. I can't stop smiling when
Yeah,
I drive
right.
it. I love it.
I got a quick question. Oops. Do you guys fight over who's driving?
Yes. Oh, he says we don't.
Oh yeah.
but it's,
Okay.
Get out of my way. I want to drive
Yeah,
right now.
it's my turn.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say we fight about
No,
it.
yeah.
It's more of just, are you going to be back soon? I'd like to take the hot rod out.
Yeah. Right.
But
And then eventually, whose house is it going to be in?
I think we're going to keep it at a middle ground. At our
Yeah,
house.
we're gonna have to kind of figure that out.
Yeah.
Our dad drives it too. He's
Okay.
the only one aside from us that drives it, and it's he used a lot of his money in that too. So
Yeah.
he's
So it's at his
Yeah.
house. then.
it's at his house.
Yeah. I went. So when I graduated school
Mhm.
and I got a job, it was that was the time to work on the car because I had, no girlfriend, no house, nothing to worry
Yeah.
about. So it was go to the bar. I said go to the bar and sleep at my friend's couch
Yeah,
and do that
right.
kind of thing and work on the car. And I took all my money from that year and they'd pay me every other Thursday and I would withdraw it immediately and I'd walk down and go, okay, cool, I need these chrome acorn studs today,
Yeah,
please.
yeah, yeah. Wow. We'll get back to more about the car. Now, that's not standard. The roof was chopped on that, right?
Yes.
Yeah, not
How
standard.
much was that? I mean, how much chop on that?
About 4 inches.
Oh, wow.
So, when my uncle bought the car, he allegedly took it down to the A brothers in Detroit to have them do it. So we have anecdotal stories from his friends that he put it on a flatbed, took it down, and brought it right on back.
And so the story from his friend that I'm still in contact with him. I try to ask him about it every now and then, but he's not into the internet or anything. He's got his head about it still. He said that after he brought it back from A Brothers, he had it on the flatbed truck after class, after high school, and he was parading it in front of him. Said, "Look what I got! Look what I got!"
So people that don't know A Brothers.
A Brothers, I mean, that's the pinnacle of customs,
Right.
And so this was before they really picked up, popularity. This is pretty
1963, I believe.
No, 57. This was
57.
really, really early in their career. They had this really wonderful exhibit at Autorama of some of their cars that they had done. It was
Dodge Diora.
Dodge Diora
Yeah.
is probably the most
Yeah.
notable one that we could come up with. But
I remember the Hot Wheels of that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the Sweet 16 original 1967 Hot Wheels right there.
Right. He did the Adonis too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've
Yep.
seen that down there.
Yeah, that's a really, really sharp car.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of the cars they exhibited to at Autorama, I mean, I want to say mild customs because there's nothing mild about them,
Right.
but they definitely have like a subdued sense to them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like it's not over the top,
Right,
but it's
right.
still
Different.
very distinct and different. Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
Almost classy.
Much classy. So
Yeah.
and so the Little Deuce Coupe, you know, the one that everybody knows about, they perform the chop on that. And if you look,
Oh.
the proportions of ours versus that, and
The body lines itself.
very identical.
Really?
Yeah,
So-
if you look at their, I can't remember the name, it's their shop truck, it's green and white. The lines on that are very similar too. So I've actually been trying to talk to some of my friends, as I mentioned, I interned at General Motors, the guys in the paint shop. Some of them used to work with Larry, some of them used to work with Mike Alexander. They're trying to put me in contact with some people to see if we can verify this.
Yeah.
So the thing about this chop is there's no maker's mark, there's no stamp, it's just the
Yeah.
craft.
Right.
And so you just have to have someone that can recognize
Mhm.
the strokes of the work.
Right.
The timeline lines up.
Yes.
Everything works
Yeah.
to say that yes, this could be a legitimate thing. It's just, you know, it's too bad your uncle's not around anymore to
Yeah.
ask her, you know.
And unfortunately, obviously the Alexander brothers aren't around, but some of their family still is, and some of the people that worked with them. So the goal is to get into contact with someone that can just look. We have pictures of the pillars with the paint and the Bondo off it to show the lead work, to show the lead filling. And other than that, there's really no way that we can verify it.
Yeah. Boy.
But, or if we could find someone that worked at A Brothers,
Yeah.
if they had records,
Mhm.
if those still exist, if
Right.
they ever did exist,
Pictures.
pictures,
pictures
yeah,
especially.
something. We just need something.
Yeah.
Then the car would go from a pretty penny to
A
priceless.
really cool penny.
Yeah.
it's not ever going anywhere in our
Right.
family though. You
I
know,
was going to say I'll buy it
it's-
before it gets up to.
Yeah,
Until you
it's-
find out.
yeah, it's very sentimental, you
Yeah.
know, and that's what really makes the car the
Mhm.
car. You know, it's not just that it's always been a Detroit local, but
Right.
you know, even if it was A Brothers, it's
Mhm.
priceless to us.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's-
Nice.
It's our parents, or my mom and her two sisters. They grew up next door to. This is our great uncle. We
Right.
say
Oh, that's right,
it's our
yeah.
great uncle. And all they ever talked about, or when they brought up John, was that the car was his. That was the only thing that he cared about, was his pride and joy.
Right.
So when we got it running and driving again, they were emotional. It was.
Oh man.
You know, it was a big deal to them to
Mhm.
see his pride and joy back on the road.
Yeah.
So that was really cool.
Yeah. Wow. Geez, good story.
Yeah, absolutely.
Man. So I had a couple other questions here.
Yeah, I'll give you some details of what's on it.
Yeah,
What's
let's
in
get
it?
to that. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. It was good. Yeah.
So originally the flatheads are 239, so this is 286 now.
What year is that motor?
48.
48.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's got it's the Mercury crank,
Mhm.
you know, and so the APA versus 59A, you know, it's a 59A, so the
Right.
you know, easy as the coolant tubes come out the center
Right,
of
yeah.
the heads, and 48 stud, but. So it's a Mercury crank, 4-inch. So it's got the 4-inch stroke, and it's
Mhm.
been overboard 3 3/8, so it's up to 286 now. It's got the Art Christman relief cut on the valves and over the piston
Okay,
there, so it's
yeah.
got a little bit better flow. Offenhauser heads with clearance for 350 thou lift, and our cam is a Kiwi cam, which has more than 350 thou.
Oh, wow.
So we had to do some custom machine work to get
Back
them
to the heads.
to the back of the heads
Yeah.
to get clearance for the valves. It's got a Edmunds aluminum intake 2x2 and 2 brand new Strombergs on it.
And then handmade Lucky Burton air scoops on the top of the
Yeah.
cars.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
We got-
sell those on the stores, but those are handmade.
Yeah, those are cool. We have Stromberg E-Fire ignition. It's kind of a little nanny thing, but it's that crap style. It's really cool. It's great. All it's got is you put power to it
Yeah.
and plug the wires in and you're done.
Now, is that better than the 6-volt system you had?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, so when I originally rewired the car, I
Right.
bought a 6-volt system, and it had this series parallel switch that was like in a couple of it was an aftermarket option that you could buy in the late 50s. And so I had 2 6-volt batteries at, $199 a piece or something absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it would send 6 volts to the car and 12 volts to the starter. And so it was a 12-volt starter at the end of the day, but
Yeah.
it was a royal bitch to deal with, and none of the wiring made any sense. And,
right.
I said I was mentioning how bad the wiring was to begin with. So
Not to mention, they were all sprayed over too with paint.
Oh, right.
yeah.
They
So
were all orange.
So we gutted it, and I bought this Rebel wire system, put it in, and the intention was to just revert it all to 6-volt and keep it. But halfway through the build at Bill and Autumn's, we did, let's go to 12. We'll just do it. It's a lot better in the long run. It's easier, and so now I have the Power Master alternator and the starter too with it, and it's no looking back. I mean, it really it starts as fast as you can jam the key, especially cold. Like actually, working with it always warm is always a funny deal, and it's got its own little quirks. But when it's a cold start, it is just as fast as you can hit it.
Nice.
So
are you running? I'm sorry. Are you running dual exhaust, or is there headers on there? What do you?
There is. It's the Reds headers. I had some. I have a pair of these handmade 50s ones that were really trick. I mean, they were so damn cool.
Yeah.
But they just didn't fit with the Vega steering box, so I had to get a red set, which they make a set for the Vega box to fit around on the one side, and then I chromed them.
Okay.
And then we just have straight pipe to the back.
Right in front of the rear tires. It looks like a syringe.
Okay,
So it's flush with the body panels.
All right.
And then
we've got the dual core aluminum radiator with the modernized electric fan on it.
Yeah.
So Bill has told us there's nothing that looks dumber than sitting at a light and you're overheating, you're boiling over.
Yeah, right.
It's cool to stay cool.
That's right.
So, the temp really does go up fast when you're driving around if you're not moving the whole time.
Right.
So we're pretty thankful to have.
you really couldn't. Yeah, you really couldn't get it up to. It's hard. You're hard pressed to get it over temp.
Right.
But the electric fan, I mean, you flip it on and you don't worry about it. And
you can't
especially
see it either. It's pretty low profile. It's like it's on the radiator rather than a big fan thrown in front of it. Like the alternator mounted or generator, because it would be 6-volt back then.
Yeah, right.
But we did that. We hogged out the exhaust ports, hogged out the intake a bit to match.
I was reading there was something about you guys did with a penny, a wheat line penny.
Pennies? Yeah.
So there's a exhaust crossover tube in the top of the intake, and it's meant to balance it out, kind of the exhaust gases, and then heat the carbs so they get a little, the engine become a little bit more efficient at the time. But if you jam wheat pennies in the holes in the block, it gives it a little bit more pop and bang kind of hot rod sound. Right. And so we took 2 1941 pennies the year John was born and hammered them in place, and then so they're entombed under the intake there.
Wow. So the thing with that is that passover, there's no other interaction with the left and right side of the engine other than the inside the radiator at the front.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the cool, there's 2 water pumps. That's
right.
It's completely separated. It's kind of a goofy engine. It's 2 4-cylinders jammed together.
Yes. The way I look at it is left and right engine.
Yeah. And because of that
2 temp gauges.
Yeah, we have 2 temp gauges, all that right there.
Wow, I never thought of it that way.
Yeah, they're right in front of my steering wheel, and one always runs just a couple degrees hotter than the other.
Wow, God. So, do you guys get invited to a lot of things with that car?
A few.
People call you and say, "Hey, can you do our show? Bring your car."
Oh,
I've had people. So I run the Instagram account, the Shop Class Coupe Instagram account. I do a really bad job of it.
I think you do a good job.
Appreciate it. Thank you. So we're starting to gain a little ground, a little steam. I've had people reach out and ask us questions about the car.
Yeah.
Last night, actually, I had someone ask us about the radiator, the height of it.
Oh.
Because our car is chopped, the radiator is also shortened because the grill is chopped.
Right.
And so this guy said, "Hey, I'm working on something. It's a chopped 3-window as well. What did you do for it?" So we gave him the information on that.
Nice.
Gave him the background and just everything that we could share. Other things, we've been invited to podcasts with you. A couple different magazines have reached out to us.
Wow.
I know a couple that we have in the works right now.
Yeah.
As well as
we did Motor Trend, Hot Rod, Hop Up Incoming.
And yeah, that's great. So we've done a lot of things from that.
Yeah, we've done Relics Riot was a really great show.
Yeah.
Autorama, obviously.
when we were at Autorama, we got approached by Summit Racing, Hot Rod Magazine, and Motor Trend.
Wow. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yep.
And
those articles are usually cycling the internet too. I see every month or two they're republishing.
I see them all the time.
yeah.
I always say, God damn it, delete. I'm tired of looking at
Little
my shit.
bastards, you know?
No. But
No, we did that, and the 5-7 Delta event last year.
Yeah, I remember
was
seeing
that was
that.
really damn cool to
That
be
was
on.
my favorite event.
Yeah.
I love that.
yeah, I raced. You guys see me race down that track at the green olds? You probably didn't give
Actually,
a shit
no.
with my car.
I don't think I would say I don't remember you
I don't
running your
think
car.
I
You were with all your buddies with their 30 coupes and all
Yeah,
that.
oh,
yeah. No, me and my buddy Jeremy were the first ones to go down the track.
Okay, did he have the one with the straight six in it that sounded absolutely ridiculous?
The Oldsmobile?
Was
the
it-
black and white? Black?
No, what was the blue Chevy?
No, I didn't
Okay.
race that guy.
Okay.
Yeah, I raced the.
I mean, it sounded cool, it's just
yeah,
a different.
No,
you know.
it wasn't. Yeah, my car was as slow as a dog.
Oh.
But
You remember how
So it was
fast you
better-
did?
I have the times. They weren't good at all.
No, my best friend, he took his at the end of the day, he took his pacer down there.
Yeah.
And I can't say the time and speed offhand, but the Model T that ran that had like these little hop. I mean, I'm not talking like T bucket like
Yeah.
set up in the 50s. This is Model T, you
With
know,
valves
when
with
getting
it.
Oh, it was rusty.
You know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, great.
Yeah.
Beat him in his pacer. At the end of it, so.
No, when they did the Model T race,
Oh,
the
that was so
Draggers,
damn
that was
cool.
so cool.
Yeah.
Those things are fast.
Yeah.
They can move.
I think in the 8th mile they did like 46 or 47 miles an hour or something
Yeah.
absurd.
Yeah, and then so the throttle spring or something on our friend's AMC Pacer broke.
Yeah.
So we took one of the springs off of the return on the throttle, the carb of Bill Jaganow's T Roadster.
Yeah.
And we put it on the Pacer, and
I think it's probably still there.
yeah, it's probably still there. Or
Yeah.
actually, it was the other way around. But
Yeah.
the Pacer spring was on Bill's car, and it was the fastest any of those AMC parts I've ever got.
Yeah, right. Wow. Yeah, that was a good day, man.
That was
Yeah.
a great day. I really hope that it goes through. They
Yeah.
do it again this year.
I'm waiting to hear more on that. I had those guys on back in April. We
Okay.
talked about the show. They had to wait on a solid date. I think they got one now, so
Okay.
just waiting to hear.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it, and we want to do. There's a couple events locally that we'd like to do. I'd like to do honestly just the Dearborn at the Henry Ford. They do this Cars and Coffee event. It's
Oh,
very
yeah.
very well attended.
Yeah.
This summer, Relics is the only thing on our schedule at the moment. So
So you drive that car all the way out there?
No,
Oh,
we'll
I-
trailer it that way.
Relics will try. Yeah, we'll
That's
definitely
the
trailer
longest
it out.
drive.
Yeah,
I
that's
hated
all.
that drive.
That's all
When,
back roads.
I remember when we went. No, that was 5-7 Delta. So when we trailered it, it was all fog. Do you remember that one?
Oh God, it's scary.
Yeah, it was
and
scary.
So the other guys that were coming in behind us were like, "Yeah, we blew through red lights with our car on the trailer." And
Wow.
I couldn't even imagine doing the foggy drive like that. I mean, you couldn't see your hand in front of
No,
your face.
no.
I couldn't imagine doing that with a 3-4 inch tall windshield.
Yeah.
You can't
Yeah.
see the light in front of you.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
biggest concern was driving in the fog, going down that dirt road in a deer. You wouldn't have.
Oh,
been
you
able
would
to
No,
see
never
it.
you had no
No.
reaction.
You know.
And you know, at the end of the day too, the car's a lot of fun to drive. I love
Yes.
driving it, and so like today I drove it an hour and 20 minutes home, and that's a haul. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
it's pretty loud. It's,
No problems, eh?
no problems.
That's
Had problems
good.
yesterday, but
Yeah.
no problems today.
You want to talk about yesterday's problems?
Yeah. So, the weather is the problem.
Yes.
And so it was only supposed to rain just a little bit in the morning, and it did not rain a little bit. It rained all damn day.
Yeah.
And the car got in it after work, started right up, great. And I made it a couple miles down the road, and it's like it's starting to do this deal where I know it's missing. I'm like, son of a bitch, here we go. And I make it all the way out to Woodward Ave and Opdyke, and I pull out, it's running absolute dog shit at this point, and I get to the Michigan left, and light turns green for me to go, and I get out in it, and I'm halfway through the intersection, the car is dead. And I had to get out, push it. It was about 2 blocks, not 2 blocks, maybe like a block and a half or so into the next driveway in Bloomfield, and man, was it scary. There was somebody behind me, they flipped their flashers on, and were just kind of following, make sure. Luckily, it was real lucky I was downhill, but I got it running again for a second, and some these people's driveway, and I'm like, okay, cool, here we go. I just need to burn burn something out of it, get the plugs nice and hot, and it just died, and that was it. Like, son of a bitch. And my distributor was filled with water. After me like pulling all the plugs, I'm like, there's no gas on here. Well, I'll check that distributor cap, and I mean, it was probably halfway filled. So it was like firing on a couple and then slogging through the water and really not doing anything then. So we dried it out. I made it a couple more miles down the road, filled up again, and I ended up, my buddy came with some like Mach 1 speed tape, that foil tape, and we just went to town taping it up with little pieces, and I still had probably 7 miles to go at that point to get back home. And made it. It was good. That was really our first experience driving it in the rain, like rain at that point. And there's a picture of me on Instagram. I got the neighbor, the lady who I pulled into her driveway, she lent me an umbrella and a tarp and said, all right, I can't really help you, but whatever you got to do, hang around. It was what it was, but that was a experience. We fixed, roadkill style, fixed it, got it back on the road, and then I have drum brakes all the way around, which is fine on a normal given day, but my wheels are they're real tiny tires, not a lot of contact patch. So that was fun learning the braking and locking up the rear wheels. And, just the experience of it. At the end of the day, it was safe, it was fine, and we got home and did what you needed to do. But it was, girlfriend was not happy. Dad was like, oh, whatever, just call me, what are you going to do about it? You got to get home. You didn't call a trailer, so.
So, Logan had mentioned that we've driven the car about 1,200 miles in the last year or so. People ask us, with the paint job, this is a car, it's a show car. It's in our eyes, it's not a show car. It's a driver, it's a runner. We live on a dirt road, so when we painted the car, we knew that it was
going to get beat to hell.
It's going to get beat to hell. So, don't get me wrong, it's a great paint job. It's no $10,000 paint job. It has some imperfections.
We did a lot of the body work ourselves, and again, learning experience. It's like never done before. You can still see the sand marks in a couple places, but maybe in 5 years or so we'll go back and redo it. But it's like, if you look around, you can really pick and go apart. But
it makes it a lot easier to drive down the road when it's a little bit wet.
And it's
rocks in the road.
We just did a base coat metallic, no clear coat, only clear over the dash, and
it's a Volvo saffron orange. It's a Volvo color of all things.
It looks really great. It looks like it was done in the 50s, and it looks like something my uncle would have done. He painted it orange. I want to say like Massey Ferguson, Alice Chalmers orange, just ridiculous
habanero.
It was the great pumpkin rolling down the road. The 32, especially with the sides that go up at the angle like that, it really has this round look. And we wanted to keep the car orange, and we really struggled with the color, trying to find something that was like going to vibe with the 50s look, but also not be too modern and not look stupid. We didn't want like a Harley Davidson orange kind of deal. Like I said, that's fine in its own, but it just wasn't the car.
Well, the other thing is we had decided on the black wheels by this point. So the black rims, we were the front axles black. Everything on the floor got painted black. Is if it's going to be black and orange, does it look like a Halloween car? And so if it was going to be the orange that my brother was talking about, it would be very much jack-o'-lantern. But it ended up working out really well, where the saffron color looks different in just about every light that it's in. So you were talking about earlier that when the car first rolled out of the paint booth, that's a whole different color than what you see on the road. The sun changes it entirely. And especially if there's clouds in the sky, if it's later in the day, sometimes it's a really deep orange. Sometimes it's a lot more yellow.
When we painted it in the booth and put it down, it was with the really intense, like bright white lights in there. It looked gold, like almost champagne. And then you rolled out, and all of a sudden it was like, whoa, this is way darker. We did a lot of messing around with it, but Bill had previously painted his shoebox Ford in that saffron orange, so we had an opportunity to at least take a panel from that and kind of look around like, that's it. We'll do that.
It was a he had. So have you seen the bulletin board of all the photos in their office?
Oh yes.
So I mean, it's just like past memories and stuff of Bill working on his car. When he hanging out with Gene Winfield, things like that.
Yep.
And there was a picture of his Ford on there, and they said, "What color is that?" And we talked about it, and then we said, "That's a pretty cool color. I kind of like that." And we talked about it a little bit more, and we sent it to our dad. Went back and forth on it. It was pretty quick after that. It was the picture of Bill's Ford on the bulletin board that really.
Nice.
And
helped us
mind
find
you,
it.
too, he was like, "Man, you shouldn't paint that car orange. That's stupid.
Yeah.
It'll
I
look
can hear him saying
stupid.
that. Yeah,
that's stupid. You look like idiots doing that." And it was his idea. It was his car. It's it's orange at the end of the day. Well, I really like that.
That's another good thing to bring up is he's really shaped the way that we approach cars and understand them. These traditional hot rods, we know what to look for, what's cool, and
that should go to the scrapper.
Yeah. I sent him a picture a couple weeks ago of this custom. I don't even know.
Really 90s street rod.
Yeah,
And,
very,
it's,
very nice. But he's just said Crusher. So
Yeah. Was it teal?
No, it was
I
like
got
cherry red. I'll show you. We won't show the camera. Just
right.
But
it was kind of embarrassing.
that's the thing about the 32 though. This was just a different take on it. Every decade.
Oh God, that's hideous.
Why would you do that?
Every decade has this evolution of the 32, and it's really interesting how the 32 has developed with time.
Right.
And I mean, I guess you want to say like it could follow like fashion trends or what's hot in architecture or anything. I mean, like, because this car, we're not building it like the modern hot rod. We went total backdate to the 50s, but you still, like, especially in the Detroit area, you see a lot of these cars now. Like, I don't think this was so big back in 2005 or even 2015. There's definitely some people with, I would say like skinny tire restorations. I've heard them people refer it to kind of deal.
But now you see bias ply Firestone tires on the road that are this up to your hip. It's
it's definitely made a comeback and around. I mean, just as much as like any vintage store, record store around here is absolutely popping anytime you come in. People like that.
What's even more exciting about that is Detroit's coming back. With the train station and them just revamping that into the tech center. That's it's bringing people in. Like that brought us into Ferndale. He's doing that for work, and I'll probably end up in the southeast Detroit area. Yeah. And there's a lot of history, automotive history. The car itself. To be able to look at some buildings and go, people worked on this car here.
Yeah.
That's really neat.
Yeah, it is. Wow. I was going to say something. What's crazy though? I was thinking when you were talking about your uncle's car. He had that car since 1956.
Yep, December of 56.
So it's been sitting in his garage all these years.
Yep.
No one really known about it but family. Can you just imagine other people have that in their garages? You know what
Absolutely.
I mean?
Right.
Yeah, nobody knows about.
Yeah, and so like you see that on like Instagram or whatever. Someone's like, "Oh, a barn find this," but this one of 200 Dodge Daytona or something.
Too.
Yeah,
I didn't know there was that many barns left in America.
Exactly, they're all falling down. Yeah, but
it's got to have the stuff on top of it and the dirt that you got to 20 years of dirt you got to power wash off.
Well, but we had that happen to us. At the end of the day, we'll call it a barn find. It really, those things do exist, and people do come into it, and whether it's family or known about or not, there's definitely stuff still shoved away somewhere that we just don't know about.
I know.
And you hope that you're the first one there.
Yeah. And the guy doesn't know anything about it. Well, you don't want to rip him off, but,
You're lost my gain.
Right. So, is there anything else you guys want to talk about?
So I believe I mentioned we have an Instagram account. Just that we're starting to get some recognition with that, and I try to post pictures of that kind of regularly. I'm trying to get into that more, especially in the summer.
Right.
But there's pictures of what it used to look like with the paint coming off of it.
Yeah.
I believe there's some vintage photos in there from the 60s. So I also wanted to talk about that. I've talked to a lot of his friends that are still around. There used to be a paint shop at his mom's house or uncle's mom's house, and they would just put blankets over the walls
Yeah.
and paint with lacquer. And he said we
Jeez.
would just be drunk by the end of the day. And it was
Yeah. No
lots of
respirator,
fun.
nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah.
It didn't matter back then.
Yeah. Right.
But they worked on all sorts of cars other than this 32. As Logan mentioned, there's the Supra that was pretty late in the game for him, but they had their stuff too, their 50s cars, their 60s cars, and stuff like that. And it was just their own custom shop. So we have photos of our uncle doing the upholstery, where he's sitting over his desk. He's got the patterns and off to the side, the foam, his. Oh my God! This
I have the sewing machine.
archaic sewing machine.
Yeah, so it's this. Oh my God! Yeah, just a quick.
You had the sewing machine?
I have the sewing machine. He sewed all the original seats
Wow.
with. Well, granted, we're not using those seats now, but it's an upholstery sewing machine. The needle on it is like, man, that'll go right through your bones. When you plug it in and turn it on, all the lights go in the house, and dim out. It's got the leather clutch style, so you just jam your knee into the side of it to get it going, and it is fucking terrifying,
Wow.
for lack of a better term. So, I punched through leather, no problem.
Wow.
So, that's we were talking about doing upholstery before. I would love to use that back on it again.
That'd be cool.
It's.
You have to go on YouTube to learn how to use it, eh?
Yeah, actually, I had my best friend, his mom that's what she does, is restore sewing machines. So she went through it for us and cleaned it all up, and it's ready to go. It's just actually sitting in her basement right now.
Yeah, it's just really heavy too.
It's really heavy.
It's a big.
Because you have to lift it up, the arm, don't you?
This was not like one of the big old school.
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
It's a solid arm.
I got you.
Heavy duty. I got some pictures of it. I'll show you later.
Yeah,
It's very damn cool.
Cool.
But I don't know. The whole car has been a learning project. I said we couldn't do a lot with YouTube, so we're really thankful for the people around us. But it's things like driving out the road and we blow the drive shaft out of it, and then we fix the drive shaft and we blow it out again, and we go, what's wrong? So why? It's like, so doing things like, we had to do a bit of deductive reasoning, and you get better as you go along.
Right.
And
I said it was an accumulation of knowledge.
Yeah.
Like the more you learn more, the more you know, you can apply it. I also wanted to talk about so he was a Renaissance man, upholstery, metalwork and stuff.
Yeah.
So when we took the body off of the frame, we had known that he had done some work with it, Z'd the rails, he filled them. We were told from him and through other people, his friends, that he had spent a couple weeks on it. Well, we took the cab off, and there's pictures online of it. Bill and Autumn, their jaws hit the floor. They said, "This is not weeks of work. This is months of work." He was a master metal worker.
Wow.
They were just blown away at the quality of craftsmanship that was done, work that was used on this car.
Yeah.
And he bondoed just not a little bit, but he filled everything. I mean, this was stuff that was hidden under the body you would never ever see. I mean, it was all there, and it was all very distinct and unique and different, especially because the car sits so low.
Yeah.
It really had to change the look, how it sat, to make it fit. And he really stretched it out. I mean, it was really impressive, and we're very fortunate to just be keepers of this thing for a while.
Yeah.
There aren't a lot of stories that we've gotten about the car driving. Excuse me. But one of the my favorite stories that I've heard from one of his friends that's still around is they were driving it down gravel roads out in Milford area, Farmington, and so they had seats, but they didn't have doors, they didn't have seat belts.
Right.
So they were fishtailing around in the gravel, and they came around to a pond, and they almost put the car in the pond.
Oh
but,
shit.
The guy said they'd almost fallen out of the car just because there's no doors on it.
Yeah, and no seatbelts. Yeah. Wow.
But my mom was telling us when we broke 1,000 miles 2 weeks ago, that car has never driven 100 miles under its own power, or at least to our knowledge. When John had the car, it was always in the garage being worked on. He had intentions with it, but it was just never driven much. So to have it driven over 1,000 miles in less than a year, it's a big milestone for us. It's a very what's the word there?
It's important.
It's important to us.
Yeah, very right.
So what we'll by the time the summer comes around to the end and in the fall, I'm sure we'll have another 1,000 on it at that point. As probably in the past week has been about 200 miles.
Yeah. Wow.
You go through a little bit of gas. It's all right.
It is no gas saver for sure. That's to say for sure. It's,
you guys go to the store a lot? just to drive it? I'm gonna go to the
Yeah,
store.
absolutely.
Go get- favorite thing is
Yeah,
ice cream.
I'm gonna go. Yeah, ice cream.
Yeah.
that's at any hot rod though. Really,
Yeah.
we're driving up to the ice cream
Yeah.
shop, and I'm sure they're sick of us here. You
Here
know,
they are
coming down
again.
the roll. Oh gosh, I get the
30-cent cone.
Yep. Oh no, that's the problem. The ice cream's so too damn expensive.
Yeah,
you
I know. Yeah, yeah.
But
Can I ask a question?
Yeah,
absolutely, celebrity
Yeah.
question out in the other side.
Peggy?
So, do you ever feel like your uncle's with you when you're like working on it or driving it? And
Well,
that
we
too?
would like to think that when we were kind of done and doing the final bill tally, we think he is just rolling in his grave.
Yeah.
He was so while he was a great worker, he was a cheap ass.
Yeah.
And we did not go the cheap route. You
Yeah,
know, it's
yeah.
like we put these new carburetors on it, and he's like, "What?" I can imagine
Yeah.
he just would have lost his mind at
Wow.
us doing some of this stuff to it. I mean, we really, you know, we went the whole 9 yards with it, and I think he would have been really proud that we would have done it, and it's really cool. You know, if you just go drive the car alone, there's no radio, there's no nannies, there's nothing in there, and you just kind of roll in, and it's really neat to think that he was doing this a little while ago. And I think he would be really proud of where we were at. I think he would have never wanted to see it go that far in the regard that it was finished. It was not in
I
his
just got
nature.
goosebumps.
Yeah, it was not in his nature to do something over. I would say over the top, but
Nice.
like that. And I'm sure he was really proud of it then, especially in the 50s. It was a damn cool hot rod. And in the 80s, I don't know if you ever took it to Autorama. It would have been right about the time where it was really impressive then.
Mm-hmm.
But
he did do a good job before the paint started to chip.
oh my
if
god,
you look at it, it's fantastic
It was-
for the era of cars that it was. It was a great job.
Right.
super chromed, super cool.
Shiny.
It fitted, but he didn't want to have to spend on it. Hence like the cutting things apart in the electrical panel and all
right,
that. So,
A baking sheet. So other things that we've thought about is when we were working on the car before Brothers Custom, is we're trying to figure this hot rod out, the engine itself. He's probably laughing at us. We were having a hard time. We were kicking ourselves, having a really difficult time getting the car to run. Or one day it would run really damn well, and then the next day it just wouldn't even turn over. And we'd always say he's laughing at us or entertained and
Right. Jeez. Yeah. So, anything else? I think you guys covered quite a bit.
yeah,
of
what's
it.
the next car we're gonna get, right?
What is the next car?
I don't know.
Tanner
Tanner wants
Roadster with a 4-banger in it. That's what I
That's
want.
what Tanner wants. I want a custom.
Oh.
Or a sled would be cool too.
Yeah.
But I don't have the money for that kind of metal.
Oh,
That's a lot of metal.
That's a lot of metal. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, we'll get there. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I don't know what's next.
My thoughts with the T Roadster is those are pretty easy to find.
Yeah.
And then a 4-banger is even easier to find than a flathead V8. I
I
think
got one in the garage.
you do. That's
Yeah.
cool.
You want to sell it?
Yeah, do you want to sell it? I really like the 4-bangers just because they're like trinkets to me.
Mhm.
There's a lot of just add-ons that you can throw at them. They may not sound the coolest and they may not throw out a lot of power,
Right.
but they're just neat and you can
Right.
talk about them. I mean like the pancake supercharger for example does pretty much nothing other than look cool and make an extra
Make a
whine
whining
sign.
noise.
Yeah.
Right. But that's what I like right now.
Mhm.
That's what I'm into. And I love the coupe. There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
However, in the summer, I wouldn't mind driving around in a Roadster, the wind blowing through my hair.
Yeah.
I get it though. We have 55W air conditioning. 55 miles an hour,
Oh,
windows
yeah,
open.
yeah.
Sorry. I was trying to think about how we used to say that. It's 55 miles an hour,
Yeah.
windows open,
Yeah.
air's coming up through on our face.
Yeah. We have the tilting windshield, of course, and then the car was a rumble seat car originally, so it has the rear window, rear glass drops.
So you didn't even, was it a rumble seat when you got the
No,
car?
no,
Oh, it was gone.
Oh,
already.
hell no,
Okay.
no. You couldn't fit in the trunk if you wanted to.
Oh, no.
I mean,
No.
it holds your jacket and a little bit else.
Right.
We have a newer 14-gallon tanks brand tank in there.
Mhm.
It really slick. Black looks great.
Looks
Yeah.
great.
So, but it just there isn't much. It's not a lot of practical space in the back.
Right.
So
Yeah.
You're at time, Dean.
Okay,
Yeah.
I just have another question. We talked about what cars you want. I always ask the guys, I usually have the older people on the show. I ask them what their first car was.
So, okay, first car. Well, so in high school, I drove my dad's 04 F-150, but the first car I owned was a 2004 Volkswagen Golf with a 2-point slow engine, a real piece of shit.
Yeah.
Anything that had to go bad on it, it went bad,
Yeah.
and we had to do it. And that's what taught me to work on cars.
And you
So-
drove, excuse me, you drove that in high school too?
I drove. That was the car I bought right after high school,
Okay.
right into college.
Right.
So I was very similar to Logan, where I started with the F-150 as well.
Yeah.
I didn't like paying for gas very much.
No, right.
So it was actually right down the road from us, not even 2 miles. There was a 2000 Volkswagen Golf GTI.
Oh, nice.
It had the 1.8 turbo in it.
Nice.
So that was really cool, just to be
Yeah,
over the 2-point slow. Also, it was bright red, full trimmed out leather interior.
Yeah.
I love that car. I only, recently in the last few months, I had to write it off because I've replaced the transmission in it 3 times.
You beat the hell out of it, is that why?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
At least you can admit it.
Yeah. And so the thing that Logan said that those Golfs, they taught us how to work on cars.
Yeah.
I've never done a transmission swap before that.
Wow.
But I would rather save my money than
Yeah.
Take it to a
take
shop.
it to a shop and
Yeah,
have someone
exactly.
else do it. Just go on YouTube.
Right.
And but so I had the GTI for 5 years. Drove pizzas in that, and it was a great time. I love that car.
Nice.
Now I'm driving.
We
a
can't
Gemini.
say something cool like, oh, we had a '73 Trans Am or something cool.
Yeah.
It's a Volkswagen
Yeah.
Golf.
Drove
I'm
my
sure
dad
people.
one.
I'm sure people are listening to this.
This
and
is
be
where
like,
they turn
what?
it off the show.
Yeah. What the fuck can these guys have?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right.
Volkswagens, Euro
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah, they're nice little cars.
Yeah,
They're
this-
quick. I love the hatchback too. It's those
Yeah.
are nice, easy
Yeah.
to park, easy to drive, and to some extent, I will not say they were the easiest cars to work on, but
Right.
they were fun to work on. They had a lot
Knock
of
it off. I know. I keep hitting the damn mic twice in a row.
they had a lot of quirks to them.
Yeah.
And you either loved them or you hated them.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool that you guys worked on foreign cars before you really worked
Yeah,
on it.
yeah. Now we have a lot of Subarus at our house.
Mhm.
Subaru's great. I would work on a Subaru any day of the week.
Really?
I love it.
Wow.
Except the spark plugs.
Yeah, but I already had the engine out because I blew it up at that point. So
All right, I think we're gonna have to.
I think we'll cut it here, right?
Yeah, I think we're gonna cut it. Thank you
No problem. Thank you very
for
much.
having us.
very much for coming out.
Yeah,
that was
it was
awesome.
This was fun.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
great
Thank
story. Will we see you guys at Autorama this year, or you don't? Do
We'll be there for a good time. We won't bring the car, but
Okay,
we'll probably come back in a couple of years with it just for funsies. I mean, find us on Woodward.
Yeah.
Well, we're usually up near Birmingham.
you. Relics
Oh.
Riot.
Relics Riot, Hunter House. You can find us there pretty much
Okay.
every Friday evening.
You guys go to Past Diners at all?
You know what? I was going to go to Past Diners this morning, and I went. I was like, you know what? I'll get up. I'll do it.
Yeah.
I didn't.
I did the same thing.
Yeah. It was
What
like
a sleep.
I rolled out of bed at like 9:45, and it's like shit.
Well,
Yeah.
we were watching Das Boot last night.
Jeez, yeah.
Because there's some submarines in the air. We had to watch a sub
Yeah.
movie, and that was a long movie.
Oh,
but
yeah.
It was really good,
Yeah.
and had the lights turn red, and it was,
And then we went to bed.
then we went to bed.
You guys didn't watch that Detroit Muscle Show on PBS?
Nope.
Oh.
No, we don't have. We're young
PBS.
people. We don't have cable.
No shit.
No,
Yeah,
hell no.
Seriously, yeah.
Okay.
We don't either.
Oh, we have Wi-Fi.
Right.
Yeah,
that's
YouTube
okay.
television.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. Well, thanks again, guys,
Hey,
for coming.
thank
I really appreciate it. We'll get together soon.
Hey, thank
See
you very
you at
much,
Woodward?
man.
Yeah,
thanks
thank
for
you.
the beer.
Thank you.
Thanks
Yes,
for
for
the
the
pizza.
yes.
And thanks for the opportunity to talk about our car.
Hell yeah, yeah. So we're good. Like, share, tag, Car Scene with Dean. Also, watch Peggy Beatty here.
That's right.
Yep.
And follow Shop Class Crew.
Yeah, Shop
on
Class
Instagram.
Crew.
Definitely.
I always forget to do that.